I'm Dale Lawrence. Welcome to the Travel Show. Today's travel show comes to you from a major tourism conference taking place in Bangkok. More than 200 delegates from travel, tourism and aviation are here to help try to shape the future of Thailand's tourism. It's being organised by the Tourism Authority of Thailand in conjunction with the Joint Foreign Chambers of Commerce, the local chapter of the Pacific Asia Travel Association and SCAL, the global tourism industry networking organisation. Now, in next week's show, I'll be reporting in detail on today's conference, talking to delegates and guest speakers. But for this week, I talk exclusively to the Governor of the Tourism Authority of Thailand, Kun Surapong Sawat Serani. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Amazing Thailand, just as amazing as you remember.
Governor Surapong, thank you very much for going on the record. The Mapping the Future conference, it's a bold move, isn't it, to seek to embrace the international travel and tourism community. But my first question would be, well, what is the chance of their voices being heard beyond this conference room?
That's our first intention, as a matter of fact, that we want the opinions, suggestions, all the ideas from the professionals, who mainly, some of them, or many of them are expatriate or the foreigners, who, as a matter of fact, are the real customers, in a sense. And we realize that this is a very important information and fact that we have to put into our marketing activity plan, short term and long term. So we have a very high hope that what we have gathered from today will be integrated into our annual marketing activities, and furthermore, it's going to be integrated in our corporate plan, which starts from year 2012 onwards.
So what's been said and discussed during the course of today, you would hope would have an impact on the way that Thailand promotes itself as a tourism destination from next year?
Exactly. It's also in line with the main topics that I think it is very important, or that are very important for Thai tourism in the future. Those are the building the brand image. The second is the sustainable tourism or sustainable marketing. And the third one is the e-marketing, which is, all of us know the dynamic of it and also the power of the e-marketing. And the last one is something that we have faced once too often, that is the crisis management or the reputation management. So these four main topics are the things that we would like to get the idea from these professionals and put into our working directions or in our strategy.
Indeed. Now, you've managed to attract a very impressive selection of international speakers to talk to the conference today, addressing those very issues that you mentioned. Let me give you one example of something I think that's in the minds of the travel and tourism community. Your slogan, Amazing Thailand. I mean, it's had an incredibly long shelf life, hasn't it? I'm just wondering, how much longer can you exploit that phrase, award-winning phrase? And
Right,
when,
yes.
When might we see the successor to Amazing Thailand?
Yes, it's quite amazing, isn't it, that how long the shelf life of Amazing Thailand has been. And being in the marketing and communication for many years, I think that it's not very easy to hatch the winner like this. So while it's still effective, we would like to see that it can still be the key focus for communicating Thailand as a tourist destination. As they say, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Because very much doubt that if we are coming up with a new campaign, is it going to be better than the Amazing Thailand? Or it's the time yet? The first answer is that right now we can see that the effectiveness and the strength of Amazing Thailand is still strong enough that we can really have it carry on. And only by changing some tagline to go with it, so that we can refresh it once very often to be more responsive to the changing needs and trend of the market or of the consumer. But Amazing Thailand has been perceived almost like a brand of Thailand in terms of tourist destination.
Which suggests it would be very hard to move away from that tagline, that slogan.
We keep on thinking and working with lots of people like the stage like this. We might not come up with something as an ingredient or as a starting point of working on the new campaign.
But your
when the
brand
time is
experts
right.
would find it a challenge, I think, to come up with something that is as catchy as Amazing Thailand.
Yes, and it's proved itself not just only to us, but I mean among tourist destinations. They talk about Amazing Thailand, and some of them even think that it is the way to do. So many of the countries were coming up with something similar to Amazing Thailand, as you might notice.
Indeed.
But times change, things change, environment change. So we have to be ready that when it comes, we should be able to really move on with something. If not Amazing Thailand, we really think that we have to find something that reflects, the true spirit and the true quality of Thailand as the tourism destination.
Absolutely. But of course, it was only towards the end of last year that you invested a considerable amount of money in a new domestic and international TV campaign, TV advertising campaign that was still using the Amazing Thailand slogan. So I guess we can expect to see it on our TV screens for the foreseeable future.
Exactly.
Will it run for the course of 2011?
Yeah, we'll run it through the course of 2011, that's for sure.
And then it's the challenge for the brand experts to come up with something that may be better.
Yeah, that's something that we have to be carefully manage to make sure that you don't kill the very strong horse and then you replace it with a weaker horse.
Yes.
But you know that the horse will get tired one day. You have to be really ready to build something to replace it.
Well, I think this particular horse is capable of running
can
very
still-
long.
yeah, we
It's
can
certainly
see
not a
that-
sprinter. I think it's a long
Right.
distance runner.
It's a long distance runner, yes, of
Indeed.
course.
Now, you mentioned a moment ago about the discussion about social media here at the conference.
Yes.
Now, would it be fair to say that the TAT was a bit of a late arrival in terms of social media? You were perhaps a little bit off the pace in terms of embracing social media, but now that you recognize its value.
Yes. The online marketing, social media marketing is very important. We realize that. But there are many factors that TAT in the past could not really get on the bandwagon fast enough. But it's not too late because these things change every 6 months or even every 3 months. Once we realize it, we gain knowledge about it, then we will, try to get the best out of it by using the strength and influence of the social media networking.
Now, let me ask you this very personal question, Khun Sobron. Do you pay a regular visit to the TAT Facebook?
Yes, I do, and I have my own page. And you find out that, it's sometimes you want to listen to people, you want to hear what they feel, what they think, and you always want to share what you think too. And the social media networking given you this opportunity. And I also use it as the informal way of managing my organization. They will understand in a very informal way that what I'm thinking, what I'm pursuing, what I give the emphasis on.
That's very interesting.
Report without being the report of the formal report from.
So you're using it as a form of internal communications as well.
I use that too, yes.
And has that been warmly welcomed by your teams?
Yes, in our TAT now more and more people are on Facebook and Twitter. I'm more active on Facebook, of course. And there are times that we can communicate some special issue in terms of management without having to be using the what you call the formal channel,
yes,
which sometimes it's not natural. Like in the long weekends, for example, I can post on my Facebook that it would be nice if anyone can tell me what's happening in their area or how the tourist traffic visiting their offices. So in our 30 office or 35 offices in the country, can give a short message, okay, it's not very good, some say, oh, it's very good, lots of people coming to visit here and there. And then you can really, monitor.
So you're using it as a valuable means of gathering information from your regional teams, presumably including your offices overseas.
Yes, yeah, that's correct.
But of course, all the information they are posting on Facebook is in the public domain, isn't it? Presumably anyone who is a fan of your page, the TAT page, can actually read this information.
Yes, sometimes it's on the page, sometimes it's on the profile.
Yes.
And then if on the profile, then we use the wall.
I
so see. It gets to
so
someone
you're managing
specific.
the privacy levels to make sure that certain information
right, yeah, something that
would be
it's worthwhile for the public, then
yes.
I'll let it go publicly on the page. And but other than that, it's the information that we want to get into the public too, like what is happening here, what is happening there, or sometimes you also get the response or the feedback from those who are involved in the social media networking. And it's a very honest comment, very constructive sometimes, and sometimes it's a warning that we should have something corrected. So I think, but I'm not really expert in this kind of channel, but once you get involved, you see, the connectivity that it creates among, destination, travelers, consumer, and also the product provider.
Indeed, I think connectivity is vitally important. Yes. Do you have a team that monitors the comments that are put on your social media sites?
Yes.
And do you make a point of responding and trying to deal with issues that are raised?
Yes, it's very important that once you are in the social media networking, you have to be alive. Not just, when they post and then there's no response whatsoever. But I need a team because, you just cannot do it by yourself. The team will help me through with some generic question will be answered right away, but something that needs, some information or some kind of specific information,
yes.
Then it will come.
A more detailed response.
More detailed response,
yes. Indeed. Let's just move beyond the horizons of this particular conference and look at the general state of the tourism industry in Thailand.
Okay.
And it's well documented that the sort of the problems and the crises that the industry has faced in recent years, and yet it always bounces back, doesn't it?
Yes.
with remarkable consistency. And we are now in a position where, well, the Prime Minister told us on the first show in this series that he was looking to see about 17 million international arrivals this year.
Yes.
Was he being over
I heard
optimistic?
that. But if you look at the figures now, I think figure won't lie. The first 4 months of this year, we have already recorded 6.9 million visitors coming to Thailand. And we always monitor daily arrivals from Suvarnabhumi and also in Phuket airport,
Yes.
which accounted for about 70 to 75% of the arrival total. And we still see a constant increase.
Now, the first 4 months of the year, of course, embraced the high seas.
Exactly,
here.
yes.
And now we're sort of drifting.
Okay, in
into
the middle
into
of the year, probably it's a little bit slower.
Yes.
And then once again, at the end of October, November, December, once again, it will be the high season. Not the number game anymore, but what you really get out from, the quality tourists.
But so is part of your marketing strategy aimed specifically at those sections of the community, the travel
Right,
community,
yes.
with more disposable income?
Yes, exactly. Because when you are on a very constrained budget, you have to really spend it wisely. So the answer is very clear that are you going to invest on a high yield or the low yield?
Yes.
So our aim is try to match our quality products, which is readily available in the country, and match up with those who can afford it. But I don't mean that the other markets are not important. I think the good mixture of all kind of consumer are very important, because even on the budget or the mass, they also create jobs, they also spend money, and that's the contribution to the country economy just as well. But if we have the very tight budget, probably we have to aim on a high yield, which, as a matter of fact, Thailand has the product to meet that demand too. And it's a matter of doing the right channel, going through the right channel, getting to the right segments to get them to come to Thailand.
Indeed. I don't think anyone would dispute the fact that Thailand offers remarkable choice of holidays for tourists and travellers on all budgets.
Exactly.
But what's happened in recent years is that prices, particularly in the hotel sector, have been driven down by crisis after crisis. And they've
Yes.
been tempted into a sort of a discounting war, if you like,
Yes.
in a bid to maintain some sort of respectable level of occupancy.
Yeah, well, we have to understand the situation of what has happened in Thailand. It's been 2 or 3 years in a row that we have this kind of political crisis. And to struggle to survive, people, I don't think anyone would resort to price discount or price cutting if they can choose. But the situation probably drive them into, having no choice. But once the situation has turned around or getting better, I think the situation will change. And right now, I think the concerned organization like the Tourism Council, the Tourism, the Thai Hotel Association, or Association of Thai Travel Association, they talk about this topic that we should not use the strategy of the price cutting until it's not a sustainable practice, which is very dangerous. And
Of course,
they
it's very
realize
easy
that.
for us to say don't cut prices, but if hotel owners are putting pressure on their general managers to fill their rooms, inevitably I think those prices are going to drop.
Yes, but the management of the hotel should be able to explain to the owners that if you cut price, you will never get your return.
I think that's probably a subject for another workshop on another day. Governor Siripon, just for the moment, thank you very much indeed. We'll be back after the break, but first, here's a roundup of the latest news. Thailand's Ministry of Tourism and Sports, working with the Tourist Police, has opened a centre at Bangkok's Suvarnabhumi Airport that claims to offer a one-stop port of call for tourists in trouble. A ministry official told Travel Industry News Service, TTR, that once the new service centre at Suvarnabhumi Airport is operating efficiently, the concept will then be extended to Phuket, Samui and Pattaya. Tourists needing help may also call the Thailand Tourism Police hotline on 1155. The ministry is also vowing to crack down on illegal tour operators in Thailand that use the internet to cheat customers or to offer poor quality services. An investigating team is to handle complaints from Thai consumers and international visitors that book online and are then dissatisfied with the quality of service provided by these online agents.
Amazing Thailand always amazes you.
This tribal song is reminiscent of a time when people lived simple lives in peaceful villages like the Akha tribe here on Taton Majan Road in Chiang Rai province. Visitors from Thailand and all over the world come to see their ancient culture, traditional dress made from handmade cotton fabrics, as well as their rice and animal farms and wild plant trading. Living self-sufficiently close to nature, the tribal people are full of smiles and warm hospitality, which make your journey a completely memorable one.
Welcome back. I'm talking to Governor Surapong from the Tourism Authority of Thailand. Governor, can I raise with you a subject that's still is a thorny issue in the minds of some members of the travel and tourism community here, and it relates back to the airport closure in 2008, and we all remember the chaotic scenes that arose from that. And I think we also remember and appreciate the tremendous amount of hard work that was put in by airlines and hotels and other members of the travel and tourism community to either repatriate tourists who are stranded here or indeed to bring back to Thailand people who were stranded overseas. Now, the government at the time promised compensation. And then, of course, we had an election and a new government. I mean, is there ever a chance that that compensation will be paid? Or it really is this just a forlorn hope now that they'll ever be recompensed?
Well, the fact is that the compensation has been paid to many of the operators. But it just only there's a rule and regulation there that you have to come up with some kind of evidence to prove that you have,
that you suffered the losses, that you incurred those expenses.
Yes, it's really difficult to estimate. But at least they must have, because it's the taxpayer money,
of course,
and they want to have the hard evidence. If you pay $1, $2, $3, what's the real cost of it?
Well, presumably every claim submitted would be audited in detail before.
In details, before. And then they probably ask for more information or for more evidence or receipt in any kind of form that can be used. But if they fall short of produce that kind of documents, then it's very difficult. But In lots of cases, it has been compensated.
Well, thank you for making that clear, Governor, because there was the impression that the government that took office shortly after those protests at the airport was really washing its hands of the promises made by the government in office at the time that the airport was closed down.
No, it's not the
so
case.
It would.
It has been.
These are
done
cases that are ongoing.
as much as it could be done. Yes.
So is it too late even now to submit a claim, or could someone come forward and say, look,
well,
actually, I did incur these losses and I can show evidence to prove it?
Well,
would,
if you
would,
can
would
show,
the, would the claim be considered sympathetically?
If you can be realistic, if you have the evidence, you can really produce it, not, within a year. I think it's enough time, but not after 3 years, then you find it out.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Now, look, competition is very intense in this part of the world, isn't it? Whether
yes, I agree.
In all aspects of business and commerce, and I don't think tourism is an exception. I mean, you've had a remarkable track record in terms of your growth. We heard and saw that for ourselves in the conference this morning. Just as you sit at the top of the tree at the Tourism Authority of Thailand, you have counterparts in neighboring countries such as Malaysia and Singapore and Indonesia, and spreading further afield through the ASEAN region. They're all trying to do exactly the same thing. They want to increase their market share.
Protecting our market share is something that we've been doing for many years, and luckily that in Thailand, our resources and our entrepreneur, our business people, people in the travel industry offer a very impressive product. That's why over 60% of visitors coming to Thailand keep coming back. But for the long term and increase the new market, we are looking at new emerging economy like in China, in India, Indonesia or Russia. That will be a new market that we have to explore or try to tap, and by keeping in mind that we try to get the higher end,
high spending, yes.
High spending from this market. And the fact is that the high-end market of this market are increasing in these 4 countries, and we are now opening up an office in Indonesia, just to be timely so that we can work and get, market transparency and connection with the key players from Indonesia. And also in Russia, we have an office. We are opening more office in China. In India, we have 2 offices. But at the same time, we never discount the importance of a medium haul market and the long haul market, our European market, our American market. There's still a huge opportunity because not all of the European, not all the American have visited Thailand. And there are a new generation who are coming up who doesn't know much about Thailand, but they want to explore. Okay, that's the segment that we are now trying to invite them to. And also the silver market. Those who wish to come to Thailand as a long haul destination doesn't exist when they are in the working place. But right now, they retire, they got money, they got time. The silver market also is very important to us. And with the nature of the long haul market and the Western market, they stay long and they expect good products. So it's a very good and very healthy market to pursue.
Governor Surapong, thank you very much for going on the record.
Yeah, ขอบคุณครับ. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณครับ.
Well, that's it for this week's show. My very special thanks to Governor Surapong from the Tourism Authority of Thailand. Join us at the same time next week when we'll be reporting in detail from this Mapping the Future conference. But for now, from everyone on the Travel Show, it's goodbye.